Hey guys, welcome to the RVezy webinar. Just waiting here, giving a couple minutes for people to filter in here at the start, but I think we can start it off there now. So yeah, welcome, taking your time on a Wednesday evening to come learn a bit about RVezy. So I know we have a lot of different people, some people new to the platform, some people are maybe thinking about listing their RV, and some people who've maybe been with us for a while. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody in this webinar. We're going to learn a lot about the booking process, kind of those important steps that you'll want to follow for basically every booking on the site. So it really is a great way to just set you guys up for success to rent out your RV. So for a bit of context, my name is Matt. I've been at RVezy for about 3 years now. So really know the ropes on the owner side of things, and I'm really happy to share this with you guys. So we'll start off really quick here with just a bit of background about RVezy, paint a bit of color into the platform that you just might have started using. So it's kind of funny. We actually have pretty humble beginnings. It was our founder, Michael McNaught. He was very similar to you guys, an RV owner. So he bought a Class A. He used it for maybe 2 to 3 weeks of the summer, and for the rest of the time, it was just sitting there. And this is a problem that a lot of RV owners have. Life gets in the way. You can't always be out and using it. It's kind of sitting stagnant a lot of the time. So Mike, really entrepreneurial guy, he thought, hey, I'm going to try to rent it. So this was back in 2016. So there really was no platform like RVezy to rent out your RV. So what he did is, you go to the buy and sell platform. So Kijiji, Craigslist, all that. But there's quite a bit of problems that arise when you do that. For one, you're basically sending your RV out fully uninsured, pretty big risk, and it's essentially to a stranger. There's really no verification in that process, and it's really scary to send out an uninsured asset with somebody you don't know. And you might not think about it as the owner, but it's also really unsafe from that renter side as well. One thing Mike noticed is he was really blown away at just the amount of people transferring him thousands of dollars to rent this RV, never having met him, sight unseen. So there was really a lot that could be done, and that's really where RVezy was born, right there. So we're actually based out of Ottawa, Ontario, up here in Canada. So we were pretty quickly became one of the largest RV rental companies in Canada. Pretty exciting for us since our launch in 2016. And then just early last summer, we launched into the US as well. So we probably have a good mix of US and Canadian owners in here. I just wanted to welcome all you guys, and we can kind of dive into why would you rent your RV? So kind of the big hot button. It's a great way to make money. It really is just an asset sitting there, and especially this summer, more so than any summer, is everybody wants to get out and an RV. International travel is still a bit up in the air, so a lot of people are looking for that nice local travel option. So it's kind of exciting for you guys as RV owners. If you put it up for rent, it's a great way to earn some extra income. So I have some totals here. I'll kind of break down too, because there is a couple different ways that you can actually use RVezy. There's some people who just want to be rented as much as possible, as active as can be, and really just want to get as many bookings as they can. But there are people on the other side, because I've spoken with hundreds of RV owners. There's some people who have that mentality of, hey, I'm going to rent it out maybe one weekend of the month. There's my monthly payment right there, or it pays for the storage. So there's some people who don't want to rent that actively, but that's totally fine. But these totals here are kind of rough averages of what you can expect for earnings over the course of the year if you're that active owner. So with a motorhome, you can pretty easily clear 30K, and with a trailer, around 14K. So pretty exciting, and a great way to put your unit to work for you. And the benefits of RVezy are, I'll go over them here now, but it's kind of exciting because it really does, get rid of all those issues that Mike experienced when he was renting his RV through buy and sells. So the big one is every rental is fully insured with RVezy insurance. So it's really great, really easy, all done through the platform. Really comprehensive plan. It's got liability, collision, comprehensive, fire, theft, and all physical damage. And as well, on top of that, we also take a security deposit from every renter. So this is an amount set by you do, we recommend around $1,000, but basically that money is just held on to until any booking is completed. And if there's any smaller damages, a good example I like to use is say one of your plates in the RV gets broken. It's not really something that's an insurance claim, but you still, want to be compensated for that damage. So that's something that would come right out of that deposit. Really easy, seamless process for you to put that in your closeout. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that security deposit, great way to just kind of be those two sides of protection, the insurance for the big things and that security deposit for the little things. And yeah, next step, renter verification. You don't want just anybody renting your RV. So you have a pretty comprehensive check for every renter that'll be coming through to actually use the platform. So it's pretty thorough, which I think is really good, especially for that peace of mind for you RV owners. We take their license. We have a service that'll actually verify it's their license. They'll do a driver's abstract. If they've had too many tickets, they've had too many accidents, they actually won't be able to rent. So there's a little bit of extra protection for you on every rental, just so rent with that peace of mind. So renters also have that option to add roadside assistance onto every booking. So that's great for you owners as well, because it's actually one of the most competitive roadside assistance products in the industry, which is really neat because it just goes above and beyond. It actually covers, the renters' hotels, the renters' food, the renters' taxis in the event of a breakdown. But it's just making sure your RV is brought to the nearest shop if there's any issues that can't be handled on the side of the road. So just great, again, on that peace of mind front, just knowing that you can rent risk-free. And the last thing, it might not seem like a big thing, but if the event ever happens, it's really good to know. So we actually have a full in-house claims team. So what that means is overall, damage is quite rare on RVezy. It really does tend to be a different experience renting from a private owner. Because for one, they come, they meet you, with all the various verifications. It's really qualified people coming through. And at the end of the day, you get to pick and choose every single renter that comes through. You say yes or no. So, you're making sure you're comfortable with every renter. So damages do tend to not happen very frequently, which is really great. And, it's families that are looking to rent overall. And they're excited to get away on a nice RV trip. But if they do, it does happen from time to time. We have that full in-house claims team. So actually dealing with an RVezy rep who understands the situation and really takes all the legwork out of it for you, which is really exciting. So just basically, instead of us having to hand you, a stack of papers for a claim, it's all handled. We're with you every step of the way. It just makes it really easy. So what we're going to do next is just kind of dive into those steps of the booking process. So if you guys run into just any questions that pop up, there's a QA panel in the Zoom meeting down below. So actually I have two other employee RVezy experts here who will just be answering questions in the background. And at the end, I'll do a bit of Q&A and answer some of them live, just kind of the really kind of interesting questions that I think everybody would want to know the answer to. But yeah, if those questions do arise, just feel free to post them down below. And just another thing to note of how we're going to kind of break down the steps, I'll actually have a mobile app demo playing on the screen there. So it'll actually be playing the specific point I'll be referencing, and it's playing on a loop. So don't worry if you're missing it. It's only about 10 seconds and it'll just keep going round and round. So it's really easy to give you a really quick view of kind of what I'm talking about. And kind of the first point I will talk about, having mentioned it with the RVezy app, is if you haven't downloaded it, definitely do so. It makes the RVezy process much easier, responding to renters. You can do almost everything on the app than you can on the desktop. And also, just because I'm displaying the app, it doesn't mean it can't be done on the desktop. So everything can also be done on the desktop. Very similar process as well to what I'll be explaining. So I'll dive in here in just a sec. So the first kind of important point, so this is basically before your first booking. So these 3 points are really things you can do right now. So there are things you'll want to either get done right away or just have on the back of your mind, right after you list. So the first 2 are your insurance profile and your banking info. So like I mentioned, RVezy, covers your RV for every trip on the site. So this insurance profile is just some really basic information we need on file. just to make sure we're applying that coverage to your unit. So it's a really simple question. It's just about you as the owner and the actual unit itself, just to qualify you for that plan. And it's a one-time thing. So you basically go in, fill it out, and it's done. You never have to worry about it again. You'll be able to see right there it's approved. So you can see in the demo, it'll basically just be a dashboard card. So if you just head to my RVezy dashboard, it's the first prompt you'll see to get filled out. And yeah, again, really easy, really quick. And banking info, very similar. And of course, you guys want to get paid for all your bookings on the site. Very similar. After you've completed the insurance profile, there'll be another prompt that's popped up there, and that'll be the banking info section. So just click on it, go ahead and enter your direct deposit info. And same thing, if you need to change it, really easy to do it in the app as well. But yeah, it's a one-time thing, and you're set to go for all future payouts on the site. So the next section, very similar. You'll see it actually as a prompt as well in your dashboard, and that's to verify your account. So this is just a great way to establish yourself as a very valid account on the site. Basically, renters will be able to see that you're an approved account, that you've been verified, and it will increase actually the amount of booking requests right away by 28%. So a really great incentive to get that verified. It just keeps the platform safe, and something as well. This is something all renters will complete as well. So just really great. And again, something that's really quick and easy to complete. You'll see the dashboard card there. It'll walk you through the steps. Not something that takes more than 5 to 10 minutes to get done. And switching gears a little bit, this is kind of something you'll want to keep in the back of your mind once you've listed, and this will kind of go perpetually on your use of the RVezy platform, and that's booking off your calendar if you know that the RV is unavailable. So that you guys are using the RV, you're going out on your own trip, maybe you're unavailable to actually complete any bookings, you're away on vacation, all those reasons. It's just make sure you're going in and actually blocking off that calendar. So you'll see it on the app, there's a whole section under bookings, and you'll just be able to see the actual calendar display. And really easy, you just go in, click through those dates you're going to be unavailable, switch them off to blocked, and they won't appear as available to renters. So I think it's really great. It's really easy to do, and you don't have any awkward situations of renters reaching out to you looking to book the RV, and you have to tell them that it's actually unavailable for those dates. And I think it's just a really great thing for the RVezy community, because if your RV is unavailable, just make sure you're not showing it, so other RVezy owners' RVs will actually pop up. So that way it's kind of great for the community as a whole. So those, I would say, are the 3 things you can, right after this webinar, if you haven't done the insurance profile or the banking info or verify, I would recommend to do them right away. Very simple, very easy. You can get that done in about half an hour after this. So those are the 3 things I'd say if you do them right away, and just keep the bookings in the back of your mind. But the next step is your first booking request. So it's definitely an exciting time getting your first booking request on the site. So I'll kind of break down how that process will look on the site. So what will happen is renters will find your RV, in the search, and what they can do is send you a booking request. So in a booking request, a renter will denote, when they're looking to rent, those dates, where they're looking to go, what their level of RV expertise is, and there'll be a section for them to include a short message about themselves. So this is a period where renters may have questions, what's included in the RV, tons of stuff that just, specifications that actually come with, your specific RV. So you can actually see that booking request come through, and you can chat with that renter. I always recommend to ask questions. It's really good to qualify your renters a little bit. Just make sure you're comfortable with everyone who's renting your RV. So it's a great way to get to know them. And yeah, if you have your list of questions that you would want to ask, that's great. Nice friendly conversation. Get to know anyone who's renting your RV. So one note at this stage, the sooner you respond, the higher the likelihood you'll actually get a reserved trip. So, if you get a booking request and you're not answering the renters for 3-4 days, they might go around and find another option available on the site. But those quick response times, the actual amount of bookings that'll go through goes through the roof. It's a much better experience for those quick responses. Obviously it doesn't need to be immediately, but that's what's really helpful about the RVezy app. You'll get a notification, you can just enter right into a conversation with somebody. But say they seem like a great renter, you can go ahead and accept. So once you accept, it'll flip back to the renter, and they have the option to go ahead and put down their payment. So this is something that actually quite a few new owners to RVezy will have a bit of trouble getting a grasp on the first little bit, just when the RV is actually booked. So the RV is actually not booked until the renter puts down that payment. So you'll get a confirmation once that payment is actually put down. But until then, it's actually still open. So once a renter will go ahead and actually complete that payment and the trip is confirmed, it'll auto block those dates off in your calendar and nobody else will be able to book. So don't worry about having to go in and block off dates. It'll all be done automatically on the site. So really seamless and easy. But kind of the interesting thing to remember here is you can actually have renters, multiple renters looking for the same date range. So what this means is it's almost a first come, first serve. If you've accepted 2 booking requests for that same date range, it'll be the first person who's making that payment is getting that trip. So it's kind of interesting. You can handle this any way you'd like. There is the RVezy Messenger, so it's always good. My recommendation, have a friendly conversation if you have 2 people looking for the same dates. Let them know that, somebody else is looking for them, and it's a great way to, just push them across that finish line to get that payment through, just so you're not kind of up in the air. You actually have the reserved trip. So that's basically once it's booked. So yeah, don't worry about, you'll get that confirmation right away. So you'll know, and you'll be able to go into your calendar here and basically see there's that booking. And if you click on it, I'll show all the details, everything, you need to know beforehand. And at this point as well, you and the renter can discuss other details such as pickup drop-off times, where you'll meet for all that, anything you might not have discussed beforehand. There's really, it's totally up to you on when you would want to kind of discuss these details. If you want to do that all but before the trip is confirmed, that's totally fine as well. So feel free to, communicate with that renter as much as possible to hammer out all those details. And basically the last step that you'll need to complete before the renters show up is the rental agreement. So this is actually a newer feature to RVezy. So new, it's not out until next week. So this is a good buffer for you guys just to have that in the back of your mind, that it's something to keep an eye on. So anyone who's actually used RVezy before and might have completed a couple bookings, we'll see right away kind of the difference. So what the rental agreement is, it's almost a pre-booking checklist. So I'll get into the next step, but basically you and your renters need to complete an inspection for every booking. But what this rental agreement does is it really just expedites that process and makes it much easier when you're completing that handoff. So you and the renter will both complete this, and it really just goes over the responsibilities you can expect going forward with this trip. And again, really easy. You'll see the prompt right there in your app once it's released early next week. And really easy. It'll follow you through step by step, and you'll click through. And that's basically the last thing you need to keep in mind to get finished before the renters actually show up to pick up the RV. So now, probably one of the most exciting parts, your renters are here. They're ready. They're happy. They're about to head out on vacation. So it tends to be a really great experience, when your renters show up. So at this point, I would say this is overall the most important part of the entire rental process, which is your departure and return inspection. So really important. And again, it's an option that's available right on the app. You won't miss it. You'll see, you'll get the prompts right away. So when those renters show up, you know where to go to easily access it. So what this inspection is a couple of steps you'll go through with your renter, but overall it's kind of the exchange. So what you'll do is you guys will go around the RV, do an inspection, remark any previous damage. You'll show them, an overview of the systems, how they work. You'll do a test drive of the RV, make sure everything's in good working order, and you'll document all this right on the app, right in the inspection list. So why this is important, just if anything were to occur over the course of the trip, we have that documentation right there of the condition of the RV before it goes out. So what this does is when it's completed upon return, if there is damage or anything, like that occurred on a trip, it makes the process on our end much easier if to, get damage paid for, start a claim, depending on the situation. It just makes the process much smoother and quicker on our end. So yeah, I can't stress it enough. Just make sure you're doing a really thorough checklist with every renter that comes through. And again, it seems kind of this big ominous thing, but overall, again, it's very simple. And once you get in the hang of things too, once you do it once, you'll be like, yeah, this is very easy, no problem. And once you kind of get into the groove, it'll be something, just kind of in your normal cadence for every rental. And yeah, the last part, when your renters are here, kind of a different gear shift, but as you might know, life does get in the way sometimes. So sometimes there are cancellations of trips. So kind of what happens there. So there's two different types of cancellations on the platform. So there's you guys, owners, there's owner cancellations, and the flip side, there's renter cancellations. So I'll touch on renter cancellations first. So say the renter, for any reason, is unable to go through with their trip. They have the option to go ahead and cancel on their end. So if they do, they'll fall underneath the RVezy cancellation policy. So why this is in place is we treat, RVezy very similar to a small business. And as you guys, this is income, that you're expected to receive. So what this cancellation policy does is it makes sure you guys are compensated for, having those dates blocked off. Those are, that's a time that somebody else could book, that you couldn't because it was reserved to this person who needed to cancel. So if the renter is canceling between 30 and 7 days before their trip, you as the owner will be entitled to 50% of the rental amount. And if it's within 7 days, it's 100%. And the rationale behind why it's split like that is just, we believe that 30 to 7 days is a pretty good time for you to be able to rebook those dates. And that's why it's set at that 50% that you'll receive as an owner. And on the flip side, an owner cancellation is for any reason if you need to cancel. So obviously, this is no fault of the renter. So it'll actually, on your end, if you need to go through to cancel, obviously it's not recommended to cancel, but we understand, things happen where you might be just totally unable to go through with this booking. But yeah, it's no fault of the renters. So it'll actually issue a full 100% refund to them. And we actually have a full team helps them, find another RV as fast as possible for their trip, just so they're actually able to get something. Usually it's a pretty quick process on our end. We have lots of inventory, so it's great to get another similar RV for them. So yeah, I just keep it in mind, that on the cancellation front, that it's something that, it's just, if you can't go through with the rental, you shouldn't be canceling for any reason that you think you would be able to do it. And it just, make sure renters are kind of not left out in any situation. So that's kind of a bit overview of the booking process. So those are just really the important parts to keep in mind. And can't stress it enough. Make sure you're doing your inspection on every booking. But here, we'll switch gears again. So this one is a bit of an interesting slide. So it's kind of the features that you can use above and beyond the normal booking process on the site. So the first one is actually the only feature I mentioned in this entire presentation that's only available on desktop. So that is EZYmatch. So I had an owner, basically we were chatting about EZYmatch once, and what they said is it's easy money. And that's kind of a great way to look at it. So what this does is it'll notify you when a renter is looking, so in the process of searching to book their trip, of an RV similar to yours in your area. So what that does, it'll give you the option to actually send them a booking request, a custom quote essentially, with basically saying, hey, my RV is available for this trip. You're looking for something similar. So it's a great way to really go above and beyond. I find it's a really great tool, especially if you have like a gap. So say you have 2-week bookings with like 4 days between, and you just, you want to find something for that. It's a great way for you to go above and beyond and just, maximize your calendar as much as possible. So again, it's only on the desktop version, but you'll see it very similar to a normal booking request. It'll pop up right in your dashboard there, so you can take a look at it. And yeah, you have kind of the option if you'd like to reach out to them or not. So the next one, this one, we're back on app features, but also available on the desktop. But this is custom quote. So this one's kind of interesting just because if you guys have listed, the discount section. So it's currently set at weekly and monthly. So say you have a renter reaching out, maybe looking to rent for 3.5 weeks. Maybe they're like, hey, would you be willing to give us a slight discount? That's a nice booking, 3.5 weeks. Like, hey, that sounds good to me. So what custom quote allows you to do is basically any renter send them a customized order specifically for them. So you can actually choose the dollar amount of the rental price. Makes it really easy for you, if you want to give slight discounts to people like that, to just send that directly to them. And also, this is a really great feature to rent to friends or family. So if you really want to just give them a nice discount for renting the unit, but you want it to still be insured, it's a great feature. If you want to let somebody go with it, hey, I'll give it to you for $500, for the week or something. Really easy. You just punch in $500 and you can send that right to them. So a couple of uses with this, and yeah, you have kind of full flexibility because you're just basically denoting what all of those sections are. And the last one we'll get into here is Instabook. So Instabook, it kind of a bit against the grain of our normal booking process, because what it does is it just expedites the whole thing. So what Instabook will allow you to do, or I guess more so will allow renters to do, is you guessed it, instantly book your RV. So if you turn Instabook on, you'll be in the search, and if a renter finds you, they can immediately book the RV, put down the payment, and it's officially reserved. Obviously, you still at this point have the option to discuss with them, hash out all those details of pickup, drop off, etc., everything like that. So Instabook is kind of interesting because it really does make the process easier for renters. So they really do enjoy it. It's roughly 35% more bookings for owners who will actively use Instabook. So it's a kind of great thing to keep in mind, using the platform, great way to get more bookings overall. And I'll touch lastly just on your listing. Because many of you, if you're really new to the platform, you probably just recently put your listing together. So I will say some things to just kind of keep in mind as well is when it comes to your listing, just make sure, everything is as good as it can be. Because, overall, like pictures and description are the first things that a renter will see when they're stumbling upon your listing. And, better pictures, more bookings at the end of the day. So I always recommend to have at least, 5 to 10 photos in your listing, including the outside, including the inside, maybe anything interesting about your unit. Just make sure, you're painting a good picture for these renters. That kind of ties into Instabook, because to qualify, you actually need a minimum of 5 photos, and there's a character length on the description, just so the renters have a good idea. It's kind of tough to instantly book an RV with one photo. So it just makes it a really kind of great way to paint the picture for them to instantly book the RV. So if you're maybe struggling, with writing a description, anything like that, there's tons of suggestions on the site, or, just feel free to reach out, to our helpline number. It's a great way. We have a whole team, our owner success team, that's happy to help you optimize your listing. So yeah, if you kind of maybe struggling, I don't really know what to put, there's tons of resources out there to help you. I always say at the minimum, just have a good kind of clean description of the RV, what's included, extra features that come with it. So really easy, doesn't need to be crazy extravagant, but just a really great way to paint that picture of the RV. So we'll move here. We'll do a bit of live Q&A here on just any kind of probably hot button questions that I think everybody would probably want to hear. So I'm going to let Fanny ask me my first question here.
So Sarah asks, what should I include in the RV? Should I include bedding, pillows, towels, etc.?
That is a very good question. So I've done quite a few RV shows, and that's something that comes up a lot, is what do I include in the RV? So at the end of the day, it's totally up to you as the owner. But keep in mind that a more equipped RV is more rentable. So my personal recommendation is always at the minimum to include the linens and dishes. So if you kind of think of it from the renter's perspective, those are things you don't really want to be carting around, to pick up the RV. So I always say those bare essentials are a great thing to have included. And as well, it doesn't hurt to have extras added in there, board games. And there actually is a feature called add-ons as well on the site. So, it takes time to do the laundry and the linens. And so you actually, have the option to charge a fee for this as well. So, $15 maybe for you to provide those fresh linens on every rental. It's a great option and a great compromise to make sure you're getting compensated to put anything in the RV as well. So kind of a long-winded answer, but basically at the end of the day, totally up to you on what you want to include. But I always recommend more is better. Very similar, if you guys have ever been to an Airbnb, you like a unit that's kind of kitted and really put together. It just really puts that unit over the line for some people who are looking to rent.
Our next question comes from Catherine. She asks, can renters picking up my RV in Canada take it over the border into the US?
They absolutely can. So vice versa, under normal circumstances, no global pandemic. If the border is open, you're totally free to pass along it. Vice versa, Canada to US, US to Canada. So we provide all the documentation for this. Really easy for them to actually go across. So yeah, no issues with insurance, and our roadside is valid all throughout North America. So yeah, if you have roadside and you're in the States, even though you're from Canada, you're still fully protected.
Our next question is from Brian. Brian wants to know what happens if the renter somehow damages or breaks the awning during the trip. What should he do?
The awning, yes. The awning, I would say overall, if there's ever damage to the RV, it's the awning. I'm sure you guys as RV owners know they're very finicky pieces of equipment. So it does happen from time to time. It is something I want to stress too, especially if you have an awning on your RV. It always is a great idea to just let your renters know beforehand. If a windstorm comes through, make sure you're pulling it in. It's just something I think most renters without too much RV experience don't know. But yeah, if it does happen, it's actually fully covered underneath RVezy insurance as well. So it'll depend, on the extent of the damage, but usually it's a really easy process. Again, once you hit that closeout stage, you'll have the option to go ahead, open a claim. You'll have your checklist done. Be really easy. It goes right to our insurance team. We start processing the claim right away. So really for you guys, it's only two interactions. It's one of us just gathering the info, and two of us telling you when to go get the repairs for the awning that's fully covered underneath insurance.
The next question is from Kent. He asks, is there a fee to the owner if I cancel a booking?
So if Kent is the owner, then no. So there's no charge to you for having to cancel a booking. So what it'll do, just give that full refund to the renter. So obviously you don't want to be canceling too much, but overall there is no direct penalty for you guys as an owner if you need to cancel. Obviously that's kind of something that's hard to enforce. It's tough. Life gets in the way. Things happen. But just make sure as an owner, if you're canceling, it's under those circumstances where you're just unable to actually go through with the booking.
The next question is every driver verified, and how do I know for sure?
That's a good one. So every driver is 100% verified. So one good thing is there's no fee to the renter to actually add drivers. So we kind of promote it. So, they all make sure they're all added on before the trip. And actually in the checklist process beforehand, you'll verify the identity of the person who's approved as a driver or multiple approved drivers before they're actually taking the unit. So that way, not only knowing that it's the person who rented the RV that's actually taking it, but it's the person who is the approved driver. So again, that's baked in right to the checklist process. So really easy, seamless. You'll just verify the number and the name, and you're good to go.
Our next question is from Sandra. She says, I understand that owners are rated by the renters. Is there a way to rate the renters as well?
Absolutely. So it goes both ways. So we actually, we've been in business for about 4 years now, and there actually are repeat renters more often than you think. We have some people who will rent once, even twice a summer. So it's very common for them to come back. So we actually have a full rating system on the renter side as well. You as an owner have that option to, let other RV owners know how you're, your experience was with that specific renter. So basically, yes, you totally can, and it's something you can actually see right on the renter profile.
Just a couple other questions. The next one is from Elena. She asks, can I rent my RV if I'm still making payments on it?
Yeah, you can. You totally can. So that's actually something that a lot of people will do, because I'm sure, as you guys know, probably a lot of people are financing their RV. It's not a crazy amount per month, and the benefit is a lot of owners in 3 to 4 days, depending on the type of units. That's the total amount of your monthly payment right there. So it's a great option actually to rent your RV out on financing. It's a free RV at the end of the day.
And our last question is from Catherine. She wants to know, what percentage does RVezy take from the booking?
It's a really good question. So RVezy takes a 20% fee from the booking amount. So it's from the total amount, and it's to cover a lot of things. It's not just the insurance, but that is a big part. So insurance is included. It's all the marketing for your unit. So we're basically getting a lot of renters to come in and look and actually rent your unit. So above that, it covers all the customer support, all the renter verification, everything like that. So it's 20% flat off the top, but it's totally free to list as well. If anyone out there has not listed yet, totally free to list, and it's only when you actually go through with the booking where that service fee is taken, and it's off the top. So it's you basically still getting those payments. All right. I'll cut it there. But yeah, I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I hope you learned a lot about, getting started as an RVezy owner. And I'm hoping anyone who hasn't listed yet, I definitely encourage you to do so. There really is no risk to doing it. It's a really quick process. And you're up, and you're under no obligation to accept a booking. You can get an idea, feel it out, and see if it's something you'd want to move forward with. But I hope it gave you the tools and the knowledge just so you feel confident actually going through with that first booking. So I hope we managed to get through all of the questions here. But if not, we have great customer support, so please do feel free to reach out if you do have any other questions that come up. So I believe if you posted them in the chat, we hopefully got them answered. But if not, we should have an email going out, I believe, with the link to our help center. Feel free to follow through there, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. But yeah, I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their night to stop by, and I wish you guys a happy rest of your week.